Let's go to the running backs. I'll show you what I'm looking at. I'm sure that they're gonna have him listed at like 3 on the ranks for running backs. Derrick Henry is sitting at. Come on. Matthew Berry has Derrick Henry sitting at 4. Crable has Derrick Henry at. He has him at 3. Yates has him at 3, and just they have CMC over him. Every single person. Also, there's another thing to see, guys. They have CMC sitting at 1 across the entire board for all the professionals. Yikes. I don't like it because the stat that I have here, not one running back total. I'm talking about total yards rushing or receiving. All yards put together, they don't even match what Derrick Henry has just in rushing. Derrick Henry has more rushing yards at 640 rushing yards already through 5 weeks than any running back has total through receiving and rushing. And they still keep on sleeping on Derrick Henry. I feel like there's some players that they favor and some players that they just don't give it to. And Derrick Henry, I know they have him at 3. They do have him at 3. But to put CMC continuously over Derrick Henry, and I get CMC as a beast. I get when he's in there, he's what he does when he's in there. And he's barely ever in there through the last 3 years. He's not. He doesn't play. The guy is probably the most injury prone person in the league. But he is the most he puts up the biggest numbers too. I gotta give it to him on that. But when week in week out they have CMC at number 1 on every single professional list, it kind of is starting to blow my mind that they can say, oh well, Derrick Henry's not on my list this week at number 1 because how is his motor still going? And I see an injury coming his way because of the way he runs and the way the usage he gets. Okay, we'll start taking into account that CMC probably has 10 total games played in the last 2 years. Like they bypass a lot of things and I don't like it. But anyways, let me get past that. I am on fire today. I'm like all burnt up from. Get me on ESPN. I'm tired of them. Derrick Henry though at number 1, 640 yards, can't be beat. Nobody's touching it. He's an animal. At number 2, as I was just complaining about the guy, I do have Christian McCaffrey. I do have CMC at number 2 though against the Vikings this week. Vikings haven't been good. CMC on the year though does have 201 rushing yards with 163 receiving with only 1 touchdown. Probably should not have him on my list as high as I do. Shouldn't. But again, like I'm saying, I'm looking at the fantasy week and not on the season. And CMC when he plays is just he's a monster. And against the Vikings, I can see a big game. He's home this week too. So I'm seeing they need to go back to CMC. That they need to continue to get back into the winning column. They have to, and they're going to heavily. It happens every week. At number 3, I do have Austin Eckler, who's been making his way up my list every single week. Austin Eckler against Baltimore this week. Again, tough defense. But Austin Eckler is sitting at 349 rushing yards on the season with 194 receiving with 7 touchdowns. The 7 touchdowns is actually the most touchdowns out of rushing touchdowns in the Derrick Henry and Eckler are sitting at 7 touchdowns each. So obviously he's not anywhere near the yards rushing as Derrick Henry, but when you put into the receiving yards, he's only off by like a couple. I think it's only like 100 he's off of only. But it is Eckler has been and I don't even think he's actually hit his whole peak yet this year. I really don't. I think his receiving game is going to come into play bigger, and they're going to get him moving and rolling. I think he has more upward potential coming his way. At number 4, Najee Harris has made his way up to number 4 against a very, very, very bad Seattle defense right now. They can't, man. I'm not trying to be bogus by this, but they couldn't stop a guy in a wheelchair right now. No way. Najee Harris is sitting at 307 yards rushing for the season, 198 receiving with 3 touchdowns. Really good numbers. Just about 200 receiving. I like it. With 307. I think that needs to be picked up. Like I say every week, Ben Roethlisberger, you got to get the ball out of his hand. Give it to Najee. You got to get that run game going. But he's at 4 this week, just based off of him playing Seattle. And like I said, I think they need to give him the ball more. At number 5, probably should have went over Najee for sure. And again, it's only matchup wise is why I put Najee up there. But Ezekiel Elliott is sitting at 5. Actually has the second best numbers in the entire. Well, actually, he's slightly behind Eckler, so he's third best numbers as far as stats are concerned. Ezekiel Elliott sitting at 452 rushing yards on the season, with only 55 receiving yards. He's got 6 touchdowns with a 5.3 rushing per attempt average. So those are really good numbers for Zeke. A lot of people were really worried when he started the season. I heard people saying Zeke looked slow. Zeke didn't look explosive. And that's the other thing. Tony Pollard's taken a lot of first down carries. Tony Pollard's still doing really good too, his backup. But Zeke is still putting up 5.3 averaged with the 452 yards. I think that's the second most yards out of a running back right now, rushing wise. Very good. I like seeing it out of Zeke. I like Zeke. So the 55 receiving yards, I'm kind of a little shocked about. I thought he would have more than that before I looked into his stats. I know they go to Zeke a little bit in the passing game. I see that going up a little bit more, but 6 touchdowns, I like it too. So at number 6, James Robinson, who has been the question of the year, I feel, in running back. He wasn't even going to start the year. They had Etienne. He was going to start over him. Then they brought in a couple other running backs to try to play over James Robinson. I have no idea why. James Robinson, who ended the year last year, top 5 running back. But anyways, he's back. He's at my number 6 this week against Miami. Right now, he didn't even start the year, guys. I don't think he really even started until, I think his first game starting was week 3. We're going into week 6. So he had like 4 rushing attempts week 1. I could be wrong on that. I'm not looking at specific stats, but I know he didn't start week 2 either. And he's already at 387 rushing yards with 4 touchdowns. He doesn't receive a whole lot, so I didn't even want to put that stat up there. He doesn't receive, but 387 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns with a Jags team. I like it. Against Miami too. He's probably gonna get. I see a big rushing game out of him again too. So. James Robinson at number 6. At number 7, this guy is going to start slipping hardcore off my list. I'm telling you, he's going to end up hitting the get him out of here any day now. Is Dalvin Cook against Carolina this week. We'll see what he can do against Carolina. Carolina has a good rushing defense. Dalvin is only sitting at 226 yards this year rushing, and he only has 1 touchdown. I keep saying Dalvin needed to be the heart of that offense. The Kirk Cousins hasn't really looked good this year. One game he looked mediocre. I do like Justin Jefferson. I think Justin Jefferson might be the best offensive piece that they have on that offense, and that's just based off of how Dalvin Cook gets hurt so freaking much. But the Dalvin Cook to me is the shock. And almost not even a shock because I knew the injuries were gonna come. But mediocre at best. I can't say, I don't know why I say I'm shocked because I knew the injuries were going to come, but I'm shocked at the stats he's got so far at the season. We're talking about Derrick Henry has 3 times the amount of yards as him. Eckler has almost just 2.5 times more yards than him, and I'm still putting him in the top 10 list with those players. It's hard to do. Ezekiel Elliott crushing him. Yeah, he's going to start slipping really hard. Aaron Jones is sitting at 8 against Chicago. 309 rushing yards on the season, 132 receiving with 5 touchdowns. Again, those are consistent numbers from Aaron Jones. You see that year in, year out. He does put up a good, decent amount touchdown. He's having a decent year so far. But surprisingly, at number 8, I'm putting him as my get him out. He's my hot take. Get him out of here this week. Aaron Jones, get him out of here. The Chicago, for some reason, I'm not trying to say because I'm a Chicago fan, but Chicago stops the run, and they put a halt to it. They might get thrown over the top. They might get taken over the top, or they will get taken over the top. It happens. But for some reason, Chicago does stop the run. They don't let anybody. Dalvin's never been able to run. Chicago for some reason has that. They have a good front seven for that, and Aaron Jones is the first to hit my get him out of here this week. Even at 8. At number 9, Jonathan Taylor had a huge week this week. He had a really good, that was like his first really, really big game against Houston is why he's at my number 9. 327 rushing yards on the season with 197 receiving and 3 touchdowns. So decent numbers. I actually thought he might have less. So number 9, Taylor. At number 10, Joe Mixon against the bad Detroit team. 386 yards on the season rushing with 31 reception. Or hold on, what is this? Oh, 386 rushing with 31 receiving yards. I don't know why I even put the receiving yards on there, but he's got 3 touchdowns on the year. I think that's why he's got 1 receiving touchdown and 2 rushing touchdowns. So I had a lot of people saying last week that he's got like the most yards all together in the running back squads, or he was up there in the top 3. He's not even close. So, but he's hit my top 10 this week against, and that's mainly because of Detroit. I love this week Darrell Henderson against the Giants. I'm loving that. Also, I do love both of these running backs, but what the hell is happening with who's the number 1 right now? I like both Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt this week. I like both running backs. So I'll give both of them that. I think that if you have, it's really hard. I don't know what you do if you drafted Nick Chubb and then tried to handcuff him with Kareem Hunt. Do you play both of them? I mean, who do you have at number 2? But it's possible. Kareem Hunt is an easy flex, in my opinion. Easily. He's having a good year, too. It's hard. It would be so weird to have your 1 and 2 running back be both Cleveland guys. But it's a possibility to do. Also, my other get him out of here's, other than the Aaron Jones hot take of him being one of them, these are kind of lower running backs in a way. They're not top 10 on professional rankings at all. But Miles Sanders, get him out of here. Don't like it. Chase Edmonds, for sure, get him out of here. Not liking it. And Josh Jacobs. You're hearing it here first. Get them all out of here. At receiver this week, number 1, Devontae Adams. Also, is the receiver with the most yards in the out of receivers right now. He's got the most yards, 579 yards on the season with 2 touchdowns. He's got a 13.8 average with 42 receptions on the year. Really good numbers. Top number 1 receiver or number 1 stats right there. I'll open the door so they can get 42 said I'll open the door for you so you can get them out of here. Yeah, we're going to need a double door because there's too many of them getting out of here on that one. So, yeah, Devontae Adams, number 1. I do think that he will take Chicago over the top at least once this game. I'm seeing I hate saying it against my Chicago team and it being Green Bay, guys. Trust me, it irks me. But I'm seeing 150 yards plus from Devontae Adams this week. I hope not, but I see it. It's probably going to happen. At number 2, at also being the most inconsistent guy right now for running back, for receivers, he's starting to turn into what Mike Evans has been for the last couple of years. Tyreek Hill against Washington. He does have 516 yards so far with 4 touchdowns this year, and he does have 37 receptions, which is good. He's got the receptions there. If you're having you want a receiver right now getting over, in my opinion, 28 to 29 receptions. You got to have that. If he's not at least hitting close to 30, you're probably looking at it's pretty hard to have him as your number 1 if he's not at least hitting 27 receptions in the season. But the reason I say Tyreek Hill is like the most inconsistent is because he is sitting at 516 yards on the season, but he has 3 weeks out of the 5 under 70 yards. Which is why he's had nearly 200 yards in 2 games, which is the reason his stats are the way they are. But his the third highest game he's got this year is 68 yards, and underneath that, it's just bad, like 40 yards. So very inconsistent from Tyreek. It's hard to, if those are going to be the numbers that he's going to be doing every single week, that becomes a thing to be, you can start slipping easily just because of that. pretty much you start looking at matchups and see where you know he's going to crush it. Against Washington, this can be easily a game that he crushes it. Number 3, Cooper Kupp, continuing on his great season with more yards than Tyreek Hill. He is going against the Giants this week at the Giants. 523 yards on the season, 5 touchdowns. He's got a 14-yard average, 37 receptions. Great numbers. Easily number 3, if not number 2 on the list right now. He's got better numbers than Tyreek. Should be number 2. Number 4, this is a guy I'm looking at it now. I don't know why I put him at this high on the list. This guy probably should be almost even 10. He is going to slip hard. It's going to... and the only reason he's so high on the list is because he's going against Tennessee this week. Tennessee is getting blown up on the passing game. They're getting blown up. So Stephon Diggs hit number 4 for me. 374 receiving yards on the season with only 1 touchdown and 28 receptions. We need more receptions out of Stephon Diggs. You need more. If this week he doesn't have 10 receptions for 120 yards, to me, in a way, it's almost a bust because Stephon Diggs is not producing what everybody was. Again, a guy that's drafted in the first 2 rounds, maybe 3 rounds. He's not putting up numbers that he has the lowest yards. Yep, he's got the lowest yards out of all receivers on my top 10 list right now. Lowest yards. So you got to keep that into account. He should not be at 4 for me, honestly. At number 5, this one's a surprise, man. If you've seen this on paper, I would have been like, what? But Mike Williams for me right now is sitting at 5 against Baltimore this week. It's a tough one. We'll wait and see what happens. That's tough. But 407, you guys are going to be surprised by my next couple picks in receiving. These are hot takes. Mike Williams at 5 with 471 yards on the season, 6 touchdowns is where it's at, baby. 6 touchdowns. This man's getting targeted. He might have the most touchdowns out of receivers in the season right now. I'm looking at. I just did a quick glance through. Not one receiver on my top 10 has that. My number 6 has close, but yeah, it's 6 touchdowns for. He's averaging over a touchdown a game. It's good stats. 15 yards averaged. That's better average than any of the top 4 guys. It's better average than them. And he's also got 31 receptions on the year. So Mike Williams, you got to give him the respect. I know that might shock a lot of people that he's at my 5, but those stats right there, it's got to show you he belongs up there right now. At number 6, this is another one that might shock a lot of people. Who's seen this one coming? Rookie of the year possible? At number 6, Jamar Chase against Detroit. 456 yards on the season and 5 touchdowns. Now, this is the stat that's kind of mind-blowing. 19.8 receiving yards averaged right now. That's crazy. It's the most received. It's the biggest average right now out of all the receivers that I have in my top 10 that I looked at. The biggest average. He doesn't have under a 30-yard reception in a game this year. I think that was the lowest big one that he had out of all games. It was 30 yards reception. Jamar Chase is tearing it up. Burrow loves Jamar Chase, and I'm loving that duo too. Number 7, Scary Terry McLaurin against Kansas City. This one it was tough to kind of put him on the list, but at 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, he's there. At number 8, DJ Moore at the Vikings. 440 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's got 35 receptions, though. That is good numbers for a receiver right there. I like the 35 receptions. Hoping for a little bit more yards out of it, but DJ Moore, he's having a great year, and I believe he'll continue having a great year. Number 9 slipped on my list a little bit this week. I don't know why. He's been consistently good, but Justin Jefferson sits at 9, 462 yards, 3 touchdowns. And then my hot take, here's my hot take, get him out of here. At number 10 with 383 yards, 5 touchdowns. Get him out of here, DK Metcalf. And that's just based off of Russell Wilson not being there. He's got Geno Smith, who Geno Smith actually looked serviceable at quarterback when he went in this week. But I kind of got to take it away from DK a little bit. He is on my top 10. He is, but I got to do a hot take, get him out, and that's my hot take right there. Surprisingly, my love this week, I love to see. I want to see Mike Evans this week. He's been on my bust almost all year, which is funny because I have him in a couple of my leagues. But Mike Evans is, I love to see it against Philly this week. Mike Evans is doing good. He's having a decent year so far. He's doing number one numbers. So I'm liking it so far. But again, he has been like the most inconsistent receiver throughout the years. And then I like CeeDee Lamb also, loving it against New England. Big game, like I said earlier on. We're going to see 325 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. I do see 125 touchdowns, CeeDee Lamb. So I'm liking it. Get him out of here, other than DK Metcalf. Yeah, this is some good ones right here. Get him out of here. A.J. Brown against Buffalo. What is, like, the Titans, man, I don't know what happened to this whole team. The whole entire team. Except for Derek. Derek, I love you, Derek Henry, if you see this, I love you. My number one favorite player in the league. AJ Brown, Julio Jones, man, it's a mess right now. The whole team's kind of a mess. But get him out of here. Marquise Brown, after a really, really good game, he's having a good year. So I got to put him on the get him out of here this week against the Chargers. I don't know. I don't know what my deal is. Maybe I had Marquise Brown. I like Marquise Brown, but for some reason something just screams get him out of here. And then Adam Thielen, who is slowly declining in numbers right now, against Carolina. Carolina is a really good passing defense. I think Justin Jefferson is going to be the recipient of a good game if there's one here. And Thielen has been slowly slipping, and I don't think it's going to be a thing all year long. I think we're going to see some inconsistency out of Thielen. We're going to see a touchdown from him throughout the year. It does happen. He does get the touchdowns, but I'm for some reason I'm going to start seeing some like 50-yard games out of him. So I just at most I see a 50-yard game and a touchdown out of Thielen this week possibly. I don't really see a touchdown. I see 50 yards. I think 5 points. 5.5 points for Thielen this week. I hate calling that on I hate calling that on people, but I gotta give you guys my my personal feel and hot takes on it. We are on to the last part of the show. Also, guys, let me know if you guys really if you guys like this part of the show. I have not heard any feedback on it. I know people talk to me about it throughout the week. People always ask me, hey, what are you doing here? What are you doing that? But I have not heard anything about it being on the show. I don't know if people like this part or not. So let me know what you guys think. This is where I do the sportsbook part of the show. I tell you guys the game, who's playing, who's favored by what, and then the over/under of the game. That's all I'm doing. And I tell you if I like it or what I'm doing if I don't like it. So the first game starting off the week on Thursday, we got Bucks versus Philly. They got Bucks by 6.5 and a 52.5 point game. If I'm being honest, I am thinking that's pretty accurate. If not, I might actually take it over if I'm being honest. I know that's pretty crazy, but we just seen it this week. There was a surprising game that had like 60 points. I'm not saying that this game is going to put up 60 points, but Tom Brady, the way he's playing right now, he's throwing 3 to 4 touchdowns a game. If Philly has any chance, Jalen Hurts is going to have to throw the ball a little bit and try to keep up. And for some reason, I see this game maybe being a high point game, especially being on a Thursday. There's going to be some showing off, but I do take the Bucks at 6.5. I'm almost even more. So I'm taking the Bucks here, but probably maybe the over. It's pretty accurate, but I might take it over on here. Miami versus Jacksonville. Oh my God, who wants to watch this game? They do have Miami by 3 at 47.5 points. Guys, I don't touch crap games. I don't touch it. I don't want any part of it, and this is a crap game. I do think Miami wins this game. If Tua's back there, possibly. If it is not Tua, I'm taking Jacksonville. That's the way I'm going to roll with that one. 47.5 points. I'm taking an under here. I don't think this is going to be a good game. I don't think there's going to be a lot of points here. Neither team is good defense or offense. They're not stellar in either one. I just don't want any part. I'm not touching this game. Got Green Bay versus Chicago. They got Green Bay by 4.5 in a 44.5 point game. Man, do you almost take under every single Chicago game? Do you like? Is this a thing where you should be taking the under every single game? Because I swear, max 20 to 30 points is what's getting put up in those games. Chicago's not putting up points on offense, but they're not letting people put points up as much either. I mean, it's just there's always super low scoring games in Chicago. It is just a thing, which is good. I want to see it. I do want to see the low score for the other team. But against Green Bay, I don't even want to tell you guys who I take here. But the 44.5 points, maybe that's accurate. I'll stick with the 44.5. Maybe I'll stick with that this week. Usually I'm taking the under on any game that Chicago's having usually. But Green Bay, 4.5. Let's just say get them out of here. Minnesota, Carolina. They got Minnesota by 1.5 in a 46-point game. Something in me wants to say Carolina takes this. Something in me, I don't know why. CMC back. I want to say Carolina here. Kansas City, Washington. Kansas City by 6.5 in a 55.5 point game. I think that's too much. I'm taking the under. I'm taking under here. I don't think Washington's putting up points. Not to equal a 55.5. No way. I am taking Kansas City. I think they're gonna finally win a game. They're gonna get a game back here. Kansas City. We'll see, man. What happens if Washington beats Kansas City this week? This will be a shock. This will not be the Kansas City people. Oh man, bandwagoners, you guys gotta find somewhere else to go. Oh man. Then we got Rams, Giants. Rams by 9.5 in a 48.5 point game. Accurate. I like it. Bengals, Lions. Bengals by 3.5 in a 48-point game. Now I know I said earlier on, I said the Lions. I had a conversation with a buddy last night, Ryan, and he actually almost wants to take Lions here. Which at first I was like, seriously, what? You're gonna take the Lions over Bengals? And I like the Bengals. I think that they're doing really good this year. I think that they're doing better than people thought. But you got to start taking the Lions are fighting, man. They're losing by like 1 point against good teams here. So are the Lions a decent team that are just losing in heartbreaks? Possibly. If they are mediocre, they're gonna beat Bengals this week. But in a betting world, I'm taking the Bengals here. Taking the Bengals with the 3.5. I will take the 3.5 here. 48 points. Accurate. I like that one. I don't think Detroit's good. I think Burrow's going to throw the ball. Goff is going to try to throw the ball. Not into their hands. So I like the 48 points. Sticking with that. Colts, Houston. Colts by 9 points in a 43-point game. The one thing that gets me here is when they have such a big spread. Like that 9-point spread with a 43-point game. It's kind of low, sort of. Especially with the spread being that. Houston has been fighting. Houston has been putting up. I think they have 2 games this year where they have a lot of points. I want to take the over here. I do think the Colts win, but I think the Colts might. I don't think the Colts win by 9. I would actually take Houston covering the spread and then an over. That's how I would play this one. I know that's probably crazy. Baltimore Chargers. Baltimore by 3 in a 52.5 point game. This one's interesting. Another game that I'm really watching every single week. I tell you guys the game I'm watching. I'm watching this one. I like this one a lot. Baltimore Chargers. We'll see. They do have Baltimore by 3. I almost don't want to touch this game. If I'm not betting this game, I'm not. I think the points are accurate at 52.5. I think that's definitely accurate. I think that might be busted. But the choosing who's going to win that one's tough. If I'm on the spot and I have to choose now, I am going I'm going Chargers. I'm gonna go Chargers on this one. I yeah. It's hard. That's a hard one. Not touching it though. Cleveland, Arizona. They got Cleveland by 3. This one is a mind blower. How do they have Cleveland by 3 against Arizona this week in a 49-point game? That one blows my mind. I'm taking Arizona all day in this game. All day. Arizona. Taking it. That's not even a question in my opinion. I think I already did bet that game. Arizona's taking that 49.5 points. That's busted? I think I'm taking it over and Arizona here. Dallas, New England. Dallas by 4 to 51-point game. Accurate. I like it. Denver versus the Vegas Raiders in a 3. Denver by 3.5 and a 44. I am taking Denver, obviously. Denver's been doing decent, and Vegas just got slapped in the face this week. It's going to be rough. It'll be hard to fight back with. 44 points is where I get stuck at. I think that might be accurate. I almost want to take an under. Here, but I think that's pretty accurate. You got Pittsburgh, Seattle. Pittsburgh by 5 in a 42.5-point game. Russell Wilson's not there. I think that's 100% accurate. I think that literally might be the game right there. 42.5 points. Pittsburgh by 5. That sounds really accurate. I like that. And then Buffalo versus Tennessee. Buffalo by 5.5 in a 54-point game. I'm going to take the under. I'm taking under 54. I'm definitely taking Buffalo in this game. I like the Buffalo by 5.5, but I'm taking the under. So that is your sportsbook talk of the day. And let me know what you guys thought about the way I changed it up a little bit with what we did with the show. Also, questions, anything, concerns, trades. I'll tell you really quick. I did have. Let me pull up a few of the trades here, and I'll tell you guys what happened. Actually, quite a bit of trades happened this week. Some were kind of questionable, and some I liked. I'll tell you right now, I have 2 offers out there right now to this guy, to the animal. He's been on the show week 1, or he was pre-season on the show with me. Me and him are in that customized league together. I have two trades out to him, and I'll tell you guys right now, it hasn't been decided. He's still going over it. Right now I have I would be giving him the Ram again. This is not standard league points. If anybody has questions on this, it's not standard points. This is all bonus achieved points, and it's not normal standard. But I'm just gonna tell you guys the trades either way. You guys might not think like what would that be. It is very wild. Do you think the Falcons could beat the Saints? No, the Falcons cannot beat the Saints, not right now. And that's actually kind of a funny question, because that would actually be a tough one, right? That would actually probably be a decent game to watch. The Saints have been... No, I take the Saints in that one. I'm taking the Saints. But I do have the trade I have. I'm giving Kyle Pitts and Colts defense for... I am very hurt in quarterback right now, so I'm trying to give Kyle Pitts and Colts defense for Matt Ryan. The other alternative trade that I had trying to go to him was Kyle Pitts, Colts defense, and Justin Jefferson for Matt Ryan and Kamara. That was one of the trades I had going. That was we'll see. There's a lot of, I think he's dealing with a lot of trade offers right now, so he's trying to piece together everything that's going on for him with that. Understandable. A trade actually just happened. A humongous big trade just happened in our league just 2 hours ago. The one trade was Sam Darnold, George Kittle, Azuma, and Ruggs over to a team for Knox, Goff, and Pittman. Let's see. I'm not sure on that. Kyle Pitts went off last week for my fantasy. Dude, Kyle Pitts. I have Kyle Pitts. I've been very high on Kyle Pitts. I like him a lot. I'm glad to finally see him finally get in there. I really don't want to trade him, especially now after he just finally had his big game. But my quarterbacks got really hurt. So I had going into the week last week. Again, this is actually in this league that we do is a 25 round draft. So you're 250 people off the board. There's no waiver wire. There's a lot of players that are on the board, and you have to make trades throughout the year and get it going. But at quarterback, I only have right now specifically because I traded a lot of pieces this last week. So right now I have Russell Wilson, Teddy Bridgewater, and Trey Lance. I did get rid of Baker Mayfield and Jameis Winston in trades for pieces this week. So right now, technically, I'm down to Teddy Bridgewater. And so that was kind of why I'm trying to get rid of Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts finally he's had a good game. I think there's going to be more out of him. I'm giving the guy, the other guy doesn't even really I think he had Dolphins defense is what he's running with. So I'm throwing Colts in there. And then that was just for Matt Ryan. But then the extra one was I'll throw in Justin Jefferson if he'll add Kamara to the deal. So that's why I was doing that deal. Also, again, in that league, I have in the running back squad, I have Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley going down for the week or two, which is why I was trying to get Kamara. If I had literally, in my opinion, I would have one of the nastiest if he could stay healthy. If Saquon could just be healthy, I would have one of the nastiest running back squads in Derrick Henry, Kamara, and Saquon Barkley. I don't think somebody beats that. It is very hard. Another trade happened today in our league. DeAndre Swift, Odell Beckham, and Greg Zuerlein over to somebody for Nyheim Hines, T. Higgins, and Butker. That guy got taken. He gave Swift. Odell hasn't really done it. I don't like that trade. That's kind of a weird trade, but I think the one guy got taken here. And then we got one trade was Joe Mixon and the Dolphins going to somebody for the Chiefs defense and Devonta Smith. So those are some trades that happened this week in our league. I'm a biased Falcons fan and got very lucky with Cordero Patterson as an RB2. What are your thoughts on trading Patterson? Right now it's probably really high considering what he's done in the last few weeks. But the thing with him is he's both got to be receiving and rushing. So I like it. But I don't think and this is based off of Cordero Patterson hasn't really done crazy numbers since he's been in the league at all. He was with New England, then with Chicago, and now he's over at the Falcons. He's never really done anything crazy. So to say that he should be a starting running back or receiver, whatever they have him, I've seen on multiple leagues that they've had him listed in different things. They've had him listed as a running back in one. They have him listed as a receiver in one. In my opinion, I don't feel comfortable playing him in my receiving squad or my running back squad as a flex with what he's doing. If you have a flex, you kind of got to play him, but especially with the way he's playing right now. But I would be trying to move him for pieces. That's just my opinion. I'm not. The Falcons are not going crazy off. I did not like them having Davis as their running back, so I think Cordero Patterson needed to be added a little bit more into the mix, which is why he is. But with the numbers he's putting up right now, I think you try to move it and get pieces for him, and that's just my opinion. So, thank you for the questions there, Austin. First time chatting. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. But, you got any other questions? Any other questions I can run through real quick before ending the show? Because we ran an hour and a half football show today. Yeah. I'll take any questions and all questions, though. So I'll give you a second if you wanted to try to ask anything else. But yeah, anybody interested? Who's up for that Bucks Philly game? That should be. I'm wondering about that game. I wonder if Philly is going to be able to fight with Bucks here. We'll see. Tom Brady, GOAT. Guys that I like over the years, I was really getting sick of it. I was. in New England. I was getting sick of it, maybe because of the cheating scandals and everything that was going on. I was so tired of the Brady show. But now I'm here for it. I'm here to watch the Brady show because it's getting insane. The guy is, with his age, his time in the league, he looked like he was starting to slip 4 years ago. I thought he was done. And now what he's doing, he's putting up the best numbers in the entire league. It's insane. I can't believe it. He's a GOAT. I'm all done. Thanks for your help. Hopefully I win my league. Well, yeah, hopefully. Do I know you, Austin? Is this a Austin I know? And the only reason I'm asking him that is because my brother's name is Austin, and I'm in multiple leagues with him. So before I say I hope you win your league and get going and get in there and win it, I'll tell my brother that who's against me. It's probably not him though. He's either way. Yeah, fantasy football, I just love it. I've been doing it for a long time, and I love talking about it. Anybody that always wants to talk football, I'm always down. I could sit here for hours and hours and talk about it. But anyway, for today, that's it for the fantasy football show. I appreciate everybody that comes in here and listens, whether you're on Twitch watching me live. Guys, I am live on Twitch every single Wednesday. I try to get on every Wednesday. Thursdays might happen here and there depending on what's going on. But Wednesdays, for the most part, usually around noon to 1 o'clock, I'll always be on here. And then I will put it on later in the day or a day later on YouTube, where you can find my YouTube at Big Tom Bud. I got other stuff on there, not just fantasy football. I got some game clips on there for me playing games from Twitch. And then I will have I'm going to be doing some skits coming up here very soon, some comedy skits. I got some stuff planned up for that. So go add me on YouTube, go subscribe. It's a free subscription. It just notifies you when I have videos pop up. Almost everybody has YouTube. So easy to use. I try to explain, people you can watch me live on Twitch, and people are like, I'll just wait for it on YouTube. it's like, yeah, but you can literally talk to me and ask questions on live while we're on, Yo, OG, what's up, dude? So, but that is it for the fantasy football show today. I appreciate everybody, and I'll see everybody next week. Get those questions in. Thank you. Have a good day. Don't forget, right there at the corner of the screen, you matter. JJ, what's up, dude?